I haven't shown you any of my games yet, and here we start with one of my most horrible losses in 2023 I can think of. I was playing the strong Austrian Grandmaster and very experienced Grandmaster, Nikolaus Stanec, with a rating of 2450, and I had 1 week to prepare for the game. This being said, let's just go to the game and see what happens. Nikolaus Stanec playing the white pieces starts with first e4, and in my preparation I had assumed that it is very unlikely that he would opt for this move. However, I had prepared the Sicilian. So I played c5, and Stanec continued with knight to f3. I played e6, and I was expecting d4, an open Sicilian, or even d3, a King's Indian attack, which he played a few times, according to the database. But instead, he played c3, and I was already completely out of book, and not knowing what you are doing right from move 3 against the Grandmaster with the black pieces is very unfortunate. So I just knew knight f6 is one of the main ideas, attacking the e4 pawn. Now white pushed the e4 pawn to e5, knight to d5, d4, and now black is forced to exchange on d4 because otherwise white will steamroll black, and this is not working for black, so black has to take, c takes, d4, and now I was assuming that knight to c6 is one of the main lines. Well, maybe a little bit wrongly, because the main line, or the absolute most popular move here, is d6, and recently also b6 is very popular, but knight to c6 hasn't been such a popular move, but still is still playable. But it's not so easy to play. White continued with knight to c3, and I played d6. And white played the very fashionable move e takes d6, leaving him with an isolated pawn. And as he explained me after the game, he has the impression that weaker players feel very uncomfortable when facing an isolated pawn, so this is one of his strategies when playing against weaker players. So bishop takes d6, bishop d3, putting some pressure on h7. However, I thought that now black should not castle. So I didn't castle, I played h6. And the reason why I did so was because I overlooked a move. And we will see which one. So here, first of all, there is this idea of the typical Greek gift sacrifice. So bishop takes h7 check, the king has to take, knight g5, king to g8, queen h5, and I had assumed that this is very easy to defend with knight to f6. So here knight to f6 is winning for black. Black is a piece up. White hasn't any compensation. Let's say knight to e4 trying to exchange the defender doesn't really work because the queen is on pre. So this is not working. But what I was actually afraid of was knight takes d5. Because here after e takes d5 I thought maybe now this sacrifice, but as it turns out, here black had the very strong bishop to f5, or even queen e8 check, which looks very unusual but is playable here because the idea is that in the end you have bishop f5. And the reason why I overlooked this move is because in my calculations the e-pawn was always on e6. So the first not so great moment in the game already on move 9. So h6, yeah, it's weakening the king side without necessity, so maybe it's not a good move. Or at least this is what I assume, because, for example, developing had been good. Or c to b4 with the idea that after bishop e4 there are ideas with knight takes c3 and then getting a very nice knight on d5. White hasn't an isolated pawn anymore, but the black pieces might be a little bit more active right now. But let's go back. So as mentioned in the game, I played h6. White just castled, I castled, rook to e1, and here my plan was to push e5. However, playing for this plan is not working, and good options for black are moves like bishop to d7, and black really doesn't fear this exchange because now it's isolated pawn against isolated pawn and the position is fine. So let's go back. Here I played knight takes c3, not a very clever move because now I don't have this nice coordination and white will have a surprising move which I completely missed. And the reason why I had basically no idea what to do here is that I usually don't play this pawn structure. But still I could have seen the coming moves. So I just wanted to push e5 at some point, so I prepared this with rook to e8, and now Stanec, the Grandmaster, came up with a very strong move. Bishop to c2. And here he took some time and thought. And during the analysis he told me that here he was comparing this setup of pieces in this certain pawn structure to other openings with a very similar pawn structure, and he said usually you get the queen to c2, but here he believes that the queen belongs to d3, and he was absolutely right. Bishop to c2 is a very strong move. And now I was feeling very uncomfortable, to be honest, and I was thinking maybe knight to e7, but this knight is not going to do a great job on g6. So therefore I thought maybe queen f6, and I was already sure that my position is very bad. And now after queen d3, indeed the position is very bad, especially if you're playing against the Grandmaster. You don't want to get such a position. But this is the price of playing an opening you don't know against an incredibly strong opponent. So here I played bishop to d7, and I even didn't see what white had planned for me here. So knight to e5. Still, I didn't see it. Rook to a to d8, knight c4, and suddenly I saw what the idea was. He just wants to take here and then play bishop a3, but it was far too late. So let's see how he could have won, because here I just resigned. So knight to c4, let's say bishop b8, this loses immediately due to queen h7 check, king f8, and now bishop a3 check, for example. This is just one move of two moves which are winning, or not winning but already mating, because queen to h8 had also mated me. But let's take a look at these variations. And black can't do anything, because after moves like knight to e7 there's queen to h8 mate. So let's go back a few moves, and you might think, okay, what about bishop e7? Then it's very easy, it's check, and again the e7 square is very important for black, mate. Okay, but maybe we can just defend it. Well, that's true, but still white takes, and there's queen h7 check and bishop to a3. Now the rook is pinned and black is going to lose material. Also the coordination and pawn structure and everything is in favor of white, and therefore I decided to resign. And while walking out of the playing hall, I just apologized for this horrible game from my side against my opponent, because I almost felt it as disrespectful to play such a bad game on board 1 against such a strong player. And yeah, this wasn't my best game. Actually, it was my worst game in 2023. Although it was pretty bad from the black side, it was also very instructive from the white side. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did so, feel free to hit the like button. If you want to see more of such content, feel free to subscribe. And if you want to know a universal weapon against the e6 Sicilians, then click on this video. See you in the next video.